news. It is clear, a global story that has occupied a great deal of our attention, rightly so, for the better part of this year. To what extent is this a tech-driven or a social media-driven phenomenon?
I would say first, fake news has been around since the beginning of time. But it has certainly become a huge point of focus for us at Facebook in the last many months. When organized groups are using misinformation and false news to try to manipulate discussions or have some sort of impact on civic engagement. And that we are approaching in a different way. We have security teams who are working on this and who are trying to identify accounts that are false, that are created for this precise purpose, and remove those accounts. And there's a real emphasis on this, especially around elections.
And first of all, I think for Facebook, this has been unintentional consequences. There's obviously, the company's a good company with no intent in actually causing this. But there are two things that really stand out to me that caused this. The first was instant articles caused a huge problem. People didn't really know the brand of the news source they were looking at. And despite what your politics are, mainstream major news companies almost entirely do not do false or fake news. The New York Times, CNN, MSNBC, they may get things wrong where they issue corrections, but they don't do false news. So people's heads were like scrambled eggs on Facebook. They didn't know what they were reading, where it was coming from. Everything looked the same. The New York Times versus the New City Tribune all looked the same, so it confused them.
And as a representative of mainstream media, I would say that, there has certainly been growth in social media away from the mainstream players. And this is something that at the Times and everywhere we're really trying to tap into and really, in a sense, struggle to establish a direct connection with the reader. The Times would never purposefully spread anything that is a lie. And in fact, the Times has invested a lot of resources and major events to really call out what are facts and what are not. I think what got really tricky during the election, and I think we do need to talk about the U.S. election in some detail, is that there was no way on social media platforms to give a greater weight to something that was in a mainstream media publication versus something that wasn't. And suddenly, in one of the most notorious examples, the Pope endorsing Donald Trump was just spread everywhere.
In the quest for engagement, anything substantive got pushed to the side, and real news got kind of crowded out by Twinkies.
We've made very clear at the Weekly Standard, we're a conservative journal of opinion. We make no apologies about the fact that we're a conservative journal of opinion. We will continue to be a conservative journal of opinion, but we care about facts. We want people to be making arguments based on facts, logic, and reason, and we think it's important that we have a common understanding of what those facts are in order to have a real, substantive, productive back and forth about how we solve the problems that we face as a country.
I think that going back to trust, the Times did its truth campaign in a sense after talking to focus groups and realizing that people had no idea really what went into videos, into journalism, into investigative pieces like the one we did on Bill O'Reilly that took months of work. And I do think there needs to be much greater transparency about the process of stories, about how stories are vetted, and even the most controversial stories, how they're arrived at. But it is, fake news is almost become, just a convenient excuse for people to throw out when they disagree with something. And I think as representatives of a media news organization, that's really our challenge.